If you want to say a couple of words about the Schumann, yeah, okay, then let's play, yeah. Thank you. Great. Thank you to both of you. Wonderful performance. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk just a little bit about the piece, about Schumann in general, and maybe about our instrument. So this was written by Schumann in the year 1849, a very productive period. There's a whole group of chamber music pieces that he wrote for different instruments. There's the romances for oboe, there's the Fantasiestücke for clarinet or cello, there's this wonderful piece and so many others. And it was really written within a couple of weeks only. So it was an artistic outburst. And I think it's very interesting for us to also to listen and get to know the other pieces because there are similarities. This accelerating N and the coda where it gets very exciting and so on. He is certainly aware of the language and the idiom of each specific instrument. He also notes that this should be played on the valve horn, ventil horn. He sometimes in the orchestra uses a couple of natural horns, the old valveless horns, and the ventil horn. And this one, so that shows that he believes in the future and the possibilities of this instrument, the chromatic horn. Yeah. Brahms, his young protege, in the 1860s, so something 15 years later or so, actually insists that the Brahms horn trio should be played on the natural instrument. So he's looking back to the beauty of the old instrument, whereas Schumann, who loves our instrument, and in his comment on the horn, which he calls the soul of the orchestra, which is as a big compliment, as good as it gets. He believes in the possibilities, and he indeed stretches the range and makes us play in the high range and in the very lowest range, and shows all the beauty of the instrument. Also, we can be inspired by the song cycles by Schumann, and knowing more about his music, piano music in general. He was a talented writer. He, at one time, was deciding, is he going to do the literary career or music? And he uses these two pseudonyms, Florestan and Eusebius, showing the two different characters of his soul. One, the tempestuous, the temperamental one, and sometimes the nostalgic, melancholic one. And I think also in this piece we have a chance to show both of those. Yeah. Talking of the piece strictly, the title, I think the original title might have been Romance and Allegro rather than Adagio and Allegro. Adagio would maybe lead us or mislead us into playing a very, very slow tempo. But when we listen to the way that singers do the songs by Schumann, maybe it's a good choice to be able to sing it also and find the right line. Cellists who love to steal this piece from us because it's such good music, and other instruments also, they can stretch the tempo because they don't have to breathe, but we do. So maybe singing through the beginning also gives you a sense of tempo. If you don't mind, I'd love to go back to the beginning. And shall we sing the beginning together? Sure. And let's do the tempo a little slightly more moving. It might be a little bit not losing any of the beautiful intimacy, because he says langsam, which means slowly, mit innigem Ausdruck, with intimate expression. Yeah, an intimate story, and sharing it. Okay, so let's find a tempo which is maybe slightly more moving, and this is our first note for singing. Okay, there we go. Yes, and this breath, maybe we can let's try to sing the whole phrase on one breath, so we don't even have to breathe here. Yeah, and that would be the idea of stretching it a little further. One more time, please, and. Accompanying exactly. And now let's try and do the same thing on the horn, maybe this kind of tempo, yeah? Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. And I think this kind of fluid tempo might help it also to set the tempo, also technically make it a little bit easier for us. There's a situation later on, I had a chance to play it with very good pianists also, and one of my colleagues said in bar 46, if you have numbers, it's this part where we play together with the piano. So let's imagine that we are another finger in the left hand in the piano. This would be here towards the end. Here, these chords, yeah? So maybe I can try and show you what I mean. Let's imagine that we're playing piano now rather than horn. If we just start on those chords, yeah? So imagine that we're placing the notes together. For us, it's easy to play legato like an organ, but here we have to maybe come to the nature of a piano. Shall we try that? Just these chords, please, directly there. Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. Here there are several ways how you can go about it. If you want to breathe before, you can do that. Maybe we can also try, let me try and play two before this, and I won't breathe here, but rather later. Yes, so we can start here, if that's okay. And then you breathe after and continue, so that's a possibility. But you work it out whichever way is best. Let's do that from there, but stick to your plan and just try to communicate it to your partner. Yeah? Mm-hmm. There you go. Very nice. Beautiful. Excellent, thank you. And then when we come back to this part, maybe it's like a distant memory of the beginning, so it's maybe less involved, a little bit more, far away. So let's try to play. This is letter D, is it?
Well,
yeah.
Mine
yeah.
has a D, his does not.
Okay, not the same.
They're not the same
Yes.
at all, so if you go right.
Yes, yes. Can I play this with you? Sure. Mm-hmm. And then we will kindly ask Brenda to maybe move the tempo so we don't die on that last note. Excellent. Thank you, thank you. Let's do the same thing, but try to enjoy the peace and quiet, and let's concentrate on the legato quality. Again, like we did when we were singing from the beginning, yeah? Okay, let's do that. Yes, please. Excellent. Very good. I love the way that you started the Allegro because it was passionate and the right tempo and right character, so that was excellent. The Allegro part is actually a rondo form, yeah? So we have this A, B, A, C, and so on. One of the parts, the episode, is what Schumann calls etwas ruhiger, in German, somewhat calmer. You know that section. And I remember playing it when I was probably your age also, and Hermann Baumann was at one of these symposiums, and he said, yes, but maybe the tempo is too slow. And I would say the same thing to you today. Maybe it's too calm because etwas means somewhat. So if you compare yabba-da-bum, pa-ba-da-bum, bee-yum, yum-bum-bum-ba-dee-dum-dum-dum. It's a different thing, but imagine that maybe we'll try later on connecting the two parts. But now let's start right at the etwas ruhiger, and maybe I can play it for you just to show you my idea of tempo. And so on. So calm and enjoying the chromatic passages and how you interchange between piano and so it's really chamber music, yeah? Let's try that right on there. Yes. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can try one more time. Let's try thinking in 2 rather than in 4. And I would suggest breathing after 4 measures, you know? Okay. What, yeah. Let me just try and do that again. Let's both think in 2, alla breve, yeah? Then breathe. So we lead the way at the beginning, and then it's piano that takes over. So the piano leads, and we imitate. It's like a canon. Okay, let's try and do that. But enjoy how we play together. Yeah. So piano is so supportive and beautiful, and trying to sing with us, and we have to also do the same. Enter into the beautiful, beautiful sound of the piano. It's Schumann's instrument, after all. Yeah. That's right. Excellent. Okay. And then maybe... No, don't worry, but we'll put it in pencil. We start here, so maybe taking a breath there. Okay, good. Let's skip now and go towards the ending, because we know it's always a challenge to play this one and be good at the end when we're tired. It's a tour de force, this piece, and I think that Schumann is well aware of it. There are other pieces also which stretch, you know, what we can do. As an example, Franz Schubert's Auf dem Strom, on the river, the beautiful song with horn obbligato. It's not particularly loud or anything, but you just have no rest at all. You play for 3 pages straight. And I think that Schubert was aware of this. And also, when I talk to my singer colleagues, they also say it's in this middle-high range, and it's really not easy to do. So I think it gives an extra intensity. And that is also the case here. So if you think that it's a big effort, it's meant to be one. But if we do a good job and give it our all, I think also the audience appreciates that effort, and it comes through with all the beautiful intensity. So let's work on the ending, because that's where we already feel tired and dizzy. It's difficult to concentrate. We'll do something that's not so difficult, and then we'll try to maybe also show how to practice that. So let's start here. If you happen to have letters, or if they're not the same.
So I have these letters there in pencil.
That's right. I would love to start here, for instance. So we'll only do it like sports people train, in short bits, and then we'll connect that, okay? So I'll show you what I mean, and then we can work a little bit on the ending. But we don't want to break too much because it's still exciting and there's an extra sort of addendum, this schneller, so that's supposed to be a surprise. So we won't announce the end. It's as if it's ending pom pim pom 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 padum, and then we still get faster, yeah? So let's keep that as a nice surprise. But it's good to start here because then we learn how to play it when we're feeling better, not so tired. So let's try that. Excellent. Very good, very good. And that's good to practice. Now we can also take it a little bit sooner. You decided to play it an octave down. Shall we try the original now?
Yes.
That we've had a chance to recover? Okay, so let's find a good place. Maybe a little bit earlier from here. Would that be okay? Yep. So. We're connecting these parts now, and of course it's easier to play it out of context. But let's try, and let's really try to sound like a tenor in that beautiful high range. Okay, let's do the same. Yeah. If it's easier to start sooner, we can also do that. I just didn't want to make you too tired there. Yeah. We can also start 2 bars earlier. 2 bars earlier?
Right, starting right here?
Yes, that's probably a better place, yeah?
Yeah, that works.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very good. Very good. Wyatt, this is becoming very good. Now let's pay a little bit more attention to the sforzati that Schumann suggests. So the first one being pim, pa, 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 and then later on, yaram, pi, really insisting on the high note.
Okay.
But it's very good. Also, we have to have a good plan where to breathe. And I would suggest that we take a good breath here and then see that we go further.
Okay.
Do you breathe here maybe as well? Let's start there. Same place.
On the third verse? Or?
Where we just started now.
Okay.
There's only one thing, we have to get out of the way once we've reached the sforzato, because there's an answer in the piano. Okay. And that we have to hear both. Okay. So just one more time, only for this little situation, okay? Same place. Okay, and I believe that's a good way to practice this ending, you know, because it is strenuous, so you learn to play it when you're not tired, and then you connect it and you go backwards, actually, in performing that. One more thing that I'd like to maybe review is this beautiful chromatic episode in the rondo, in the Allegro part, where we have all these sighs, yeah?
Gorgeous.
Yes, they are.
Which one? Towards the
yes,
end?
maybe the first one.
First
one, yes, yeah. So there again, let's enjoy those, and Schumann writes all of these hairpins into it, so maybe we could exaggerate and find our romantic soul there, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, so, yes please, yeah, that would be great, yeah. Mm-hmm. So taking turns in these sides, but being very romantic. Okay, let's try and do that. Mm-hmm.
Are you going to start on the measure?
On the double bar, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you. That's very good. And maybe we can see how nicely it's written. I don't know if it's the case in your part, but when we have this, you can kind of reset and take time with a bit of a crescendo before that. So it's going to be... Take enough time, yeah? Mm-hmm. Maybe you can just try and play that directly on your own once. Yes, and let's make sure that we support well on the low note. Just one more time. Okay. In this middle range, you use, I think, the F side of our horn, so maybe we can use a little more air, sort of quantity of air, not speed, but quantity to fill the horn so that it sounds healthy and full there. We in Europe use a lot of B-flat horn in that range, but I'm not going to make you do that. You can experiment with it when you practice, but whichever horn you use, a little bit more air. Yeah, let's try that one more time. Just be more generous with air. Good, and so on. Very good. Is there anything else that you'd like to repeat from this? Because time is ticking away, unfortunately, and we'll maybe have to move on. But if you'd like to repeat something, let's do that.
Schneller?
Okay.
Because, I don't know, it kind of felt a little off to me when I was playing it. Like, how do I kind of give it that awesome ending?
Yes. Remember when we talked about the character of the Allegro, and I really loved how you went for it. Let's have a little bit more of that also here at letter K.
Okay.
So if you take a breath here, and Brenda's aware of that, then we can start here so that we can have it in context. Okay. Okay, let's do that. Or if you want to start here earlier, no, better if you're directly.
I could start there early.
Yeah, where we practiced our old place, which was there. Yeah, let's do that. Wonderful. Great. Very good. So enjoy more of Schumann, and then of course there's the great Concertstück when you have colleagues that you want to play the Concertstück with four horns in orchestra. Yes, yeah. That,
four horns this year,
so. Sure. No, that will come with time, but you learn something about the character, about playing this piece and generally. There are also easier pieces by Schumann. There's a beautiful piece, less known, for two pianos, two cellos, and one horn. And that horn part is not difficult, but it's a virtuoso piece for two pianos, yes. Yes, yeah, yeah. So you can look at that, and then I've never played those hunting songs for men's choir and horn quartet, and of course the great orchestral repertoire. So there's much more to discover. Sometimes horn players we also dare to do transcriptions. So if you want to look at the Fantasiestücke, you can do that as well. Do you play the Fantasiestücke? No.
I'm not a solo pianist.
No. I mean the one with clarinet and so on. Yeah, yeah. That's a very nice first and second movement. First and third is a little bit more demanding, but it's beautiful to stylistically get more into Schumann's language. Thanks very much. Wonderful to hear you play. Thank you.
so much.
Thank you. Hey, welcome. Welcome. So, Henry and Evan, hello, nice to meet you. Hello, we met yesterday already at the concert. Do you want to say a few words about the piece that you're playing?
I can.
Yeah.
GIPPS was a British composer in the 1900s, and she wrote this concerto and dedicated it to her son after he had graduated with a degree in French horn performance, which was not much. I think the subtitle on the score is A Family Matter.
Wonderful, wonderful, yes. Thank you. Beautiful. Very good. Very good. Okay, so when you get to play in a new space, this is a recital hall. It has a nice, generous acoustic. It's a little bit drier up in the place where we played yesterday. But I was surprised, but when I listened to the second half, that it actually sounds better in the audience than you feel on the stage. Yeah, here it feels nice and generous, and it's very good. I looked at the piano. It's tuned at 442, so maybe that's surprisingly high. Maybe let's just check the intonation. I think maybe we're on the lower side if you're used to playing at 440 or so, yeah? So something like a, I don't know, B flat or something. Yeah, I would maybe go in a little bit with the main slide and you can bring it down. Good. Very good. Another thing is maybe balance that we can look into it. I listened to this wonderful recording that David Wyatt made with the British horn concertos, and there the beginning seems very, very sort of, it starts a little more generous and then comes down. So you can play both more solistically, or we can ask Evan to come down with the triplet movement so that you can effortlessly show the line. Shall we do the beginning one more time? I still hear it a little bit flat, so let's go a little bit further. Yeah. Yeah, maybe just a little bit higher. Okay, sorry to insist, the beginning was better, but still, I would still go in. Sometimes it's the way that you tune the horn, so I would go in a little further with the main slide. Okay. Do you have a separate slide to tune the B-flat side?
Oh, the B-flat side?
Yeah, and this one here?
That's also the F side.
That's, oh, I see, you have two.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. In that case, maybe we just need to go here so we make sure we're not flat. Okay. You know the joke that it's better to be sharp than out of tune. It's a silly joke, but there's something to it. Yeah. So maybe you can just go in, and if you need to accommodate or compensate, for this. My horn has, this is for both sides, this is for B flat, this is for F, so you have flexibility, yeah. Okay. Beginning was better. I would still leave it here. The other thing is that I learned from Frøydis Revekre, the great Norwegian horn player and pedagogue. She said, shared something that she learned maybe also from trumpet players. Since we know that the harmonics get closer up, there's a narrower margin to miss a note, and that's why it's tricky to play. But also, intonation-wise, it's maybe less of an effort to try and bring a note down. So if you tune your horn to be in tune in the high range, you can make the effort in the middle range to play with a more relaxed embouchure. And on the whole, that should be easier to do. Because if you're in tune in the middle range and you happen to be a little bit flat on top, that's more of an effort and you have to work harder. So that's what because there's a lot of writing in the high range in this piece, it seems to me. So I think to be there absolutely in tune and maybe relax, which is easier to do in the middle and the low range, yeah? Okay, good. Let's try the beginning one more time. Now it's just about balance and intonation, yeah? Okay, very good, very good, very good. And she sends you up all the way to high D, which is not very nice to her son. But anyway, maybe they had other issues. Now, let's compare that to the end, at letter H. Do we have the same edition? This is a printed one. Yeah, I have the handwritten one. Maybe we can compare that.
I think all the letters are...
Yeah, the same? Yeah, okay. Let's compare that to what happens there. And here we have a pianissimo, so it's an echo of what maybe happened in the beginning. And we even have a triple pianissimo for the strings here, yeah? So more distant. Yes? And if you feel that you need a little bit more time, do stretch it. Don't feel that we're pushing it. Beautiful, effortless, high range, really good. Let's do it one more time. Beautiful. And then take your time. And then we go into the cadenza. Very good, very good. So those are the beginnings and the ending. Now, I was very impressed how you played these fast passages there after letter E. Fantastic. How did you practice that? Share your secret with us. Slowly, and then
Very slowly.
slowly.
I started about like 2 years ago.
Oh, there you
So
go.
just every day, just a little
Excellent.
really slow.
That's good to hear that you have the patience to practice 2 years. In our fast-moving one click away generation, it's more difficult, but that's very good. Excellent. Let's look at something else. Though. After the beginning, then where's a good place to start? Whether these fanfare-like calls, maybe at letter A, would that be a good place? Yeah. Yes. Good, good, good. Henry, I wouldn't be shy about showing the very lowest range or the high, because we know it's maybe not the easiest thing to play on the horn. But imagine that you have an audience of maybe young people who don't know our instrument so well. So you're showing them, you're introducing them. This is what we can do. We can play very low, like a tuba or like a bass trombone, and then we can soar up in the high range. So be a champion of our instrument and don't be shy about it. And then because it is a solo concerto, also we have to have a certain presence. That's right, yes, exactly. Let's do that one more time with that attitude. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Let's talk a little bit about style. This is obviously a British piece written for a British horn player. Are you familiar with recordings or with the playing of our British colleagues?
Somewhat.
Who did you listen to typically? David Pyatt, and the older recordings of Dennis Brain, perhaps? Okay, we talked with our colleague. You spent some time in England, didn't you? How would you define, or what would you describe as the characteristics of British horn playing in comparison to American? Of course, you can't talk about American playing because there's so many very different schools and it's varied, but how would you define it?
The two words I would use are clarity and facility.
Facility.
Brain was, a phenomenon.
Yes.
And his recordings still hold up.
That's right, that's right.
But I think the players that follow him, Alan Civil, first of all,
Yes.
and then later Michael Thompson,
Indeed, and Richard Watkins, yes, yeah, yeah.
wonderful artists, Pippi Stock.
That's right.
They all exhibit this wonderful clarity that derives from Dennis Brain.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And of course, Dennis Brain and his whole family.
Yes.
His father Aubrey and his uncle
Who played in California, no? Yeah, yeah.
Angeles in the studio system
That's right.
and taught someone like Vincent DeRosa.
Oh, there you go. There's the connection. Yeah, yeah.
They grew up on French instruments, that Belgian school, smaller board instruments.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, it's a distinct school of horn playing.
There you go. Are you familiar with some of these names, Henry? I'm sure if you're on Spotify or wherever you use, you could find the persons who I still heard play live was somebody like Alan Civil, a legendary British horn player. He was also in the BBC Symphony Orchestra, but was also a soloist. He made several recordings of Mozart concertos and other pieces, and he was, like you described him, also very clear, beautiful. I heard him play the Larsen concertina with strings on one occasion, and on the Brahms trio on another occasion, beautiful. Also Frank Lloyd with his virtuosity and so on. And in London nowadays you have several schools. You have the school, maybe Aubrey Brain, Dennis's father, who you can also hear playing on such pieces like the Brahms trio from the 1930s, together with a young Rudolf Serkin, the great American pianist, and Adolf Busch, who was also his father-in-law, and who had the Busch Quartet. So you'll hear very pure playing. And he was a very influential teacher in the 1930s and so on. So many players came from his school. I had some lessons when I was studying in Germany at the time with my teacher, Michael Hölzel in Detmold. I went down to Freiburg, and Eifert James was another exponent of this beautiful school. He had studied with Aubrey Brain, and he would hold up his bell high. He started playing the cornet and had a very easy high range, so there's a component of that. Also then, it gets a little bit more international, because as the British orchestras were used in the studios, also maybe the London Symphony, which recorded the soundtrack for, I think, the Star Wars and other John Williams films, then it became a little bit more transatlantic. But traditionally, this is exactly how I would describe it. I couldn't describe it better. Thank you for that. That's wonderful. So do get a little bit acquainted with these old recordings to find the purity. Not necessarily those people, I spoke to some people who had heard both Aubrey Brain and Dennis Brain perform live, and said that Dennis Brain, whose recordings you can not only the Mozart concertos, but pieces that were dedicated to him, like the Britten Serenade, like the Hindemith Concerto, the Gordon Jacob Concerto, the Malcolm Arnold Second Concerto, and so on. All these pieces were written specially for him, and some of them are really virtuoso. Also the Hungarian composer Matthias Scheiber, who wrote a beautiful nocturne, probably inspired by having listened to the Britten Serenade during the war in 1942-43, and then he wrote this also in memory of Brahms, like the Ligeti Trio that we played. So there's a vast repertoire that was written especially for Dennis Brain. He inspired composers, and that's what we need to do. So when you have friends who compose, ask them to write new repertoire. That's part of our duty, to keep the music alive. Thank you. So what we can transfer to your playing, maybe we can try to not cover the bell too much. have clarity and open more to sostenuto playing. That's how we can maybe come a little bit clearer to that. And the French instruments that you mentioned, I also played on one of those with the piston valve system, Selmer, and that's quite a different instrument, yeah. Those you cannot play very loud without them going a little bit brassy sooner than these instruments. These are heavier and bigger instruments, so, but the warmth of your playing is beautiful, so don't change that. But sometimes just doing something else. And when you're a soloist, then you're competing with other soloists, string players, piano players, and so on. So it's nice to present our instruments with a lot of different characters and colors, and that's something that we can search for. Okay, let's take it where, what would be the next interesting thing, maybe after letter D or so? Or shall we start at D and you come in then? Sure. Yeah? Very good, beautiful, thank you, thank you. Seems relaxed and beautiful playing, espressivo. Should we look into the cadenza a little bit? So cadenza, sometimes it's composed, like here in the older days. There's like an evolution of what cadenza came, forth in the Baroque music, where you would do a simple ornament to finish it on one breath, typically, if you were a singer, In a da capo aria, which you have A, B, A form, you come back to the A, and then you make an ornament and finish. That's how it started. Then it gets more elaborate in the classical period. Composers like Mozart and others composed their own cadenza or improvised them. We're not so familiar with improvising nowadays, and then you get the big romantic concerto, and this is an example of a written out cadenza. So still it needs to sound as if you were inventing it on the spot. So it can be more spontaneous, as if you're improvising it, and if it's your own idea or your own music, yeah? So make it your own. Let's look into that. Thank you. Very good, very good. In the beginning, it seems like there's two voices. There's the low horn, and let's play a game. I'll try to play the low horn. You answer them, okay? So we start here on the top of the page after the a piacere, with them. That's the third, when the cadenza is written, that's the fourth bar of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? Okay, there. And the answer. And then maybe more. And then. Okay, and now it's your duty to show these two instruments, yeah? Showing both low horn and creating like a little dialogue.
Yeah.
And maybe each consecutive entry can be more intense or a little bit more impatient, so we have a feeling, something's happening, not too static, yeah? And then more urgent. And take your time. Thank you very much. Bravo, Henry. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Very good. Excellent. I do hope that you'll have an opportunity to play it either in recital with piano or maybe even with orchestra. That would be wonderful. Then you have a wonderful, colorful experience with the full orchestra playing that. Okay. What are your projects and plans coming up now in the next few months?
I'll be playing this as well as the other two movements on my senior recital in the spring.
Oh, fantastic.
Up, and then preparing for graduate school auditions in the winter.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Try to learn it by memory, not in order to perform it that way, but to really feel it. Yes, no, and then you can still look back to your part. That's usually a good thing to do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good luck with everything. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. And thank you to Evan. Thank you for your wonderful contribution. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, the next piece that we'll be hearing today is Bernhard KROL. Bernhard KROL was a horn player himself. He played in various orchestras. I think towards the end of his career, he also worked at the radio orchestra in Stuttgart, and that's where he was colleagues with young Hermann Baumann before he left the orchestra in order to dedicate his time to solo playing and recording. Hermann Baumann sadly passed away this past December, so this next week there's an international symposium in Colorado in Fort Collins where we'll have a memorial concert for Hermann Baumann, playing some of the pieces which are in connection with him. And I was very fortunate to have worked with him, also had some lessons, some master classes. I never properly studied with him at the Folkwang School in Essen, but he was indeed an inspiring person, and what was contagious was his passion for music. He would always sing when he was teaching, and I was fortunate to play a lot of chamber music with him. We did some recordings together, but what I remember most of him is his sort of excitement about the music and the pleasure that he found not only in the music but also in sharing his passion for music with younger colleagues, his student and fellow musicians as well. So he was indeed a very inspiring personality, and we want to honor him and celebrate his contribution to our instrument and music in general. He would have turned 90 this coming month. I think 1st of August would have been his birthday, so we'll have a memorial concert if you happen to be around Colorado. Okay, so shall we play this piece through and then talk about it? Yeah, let's do that.
Great.
Maybe if you don't mind, I'll go into the audience to hear it there. It's nice to have a different perspective there. Okay? Okay, take your time and enjoy. Okay. Very good, excellent. Okay, how does it feel?
Feels good. This is a nice solid plan.
Yes, it is. It's generous, yes. Okay, so Laudatio. What's a Laudatio?
It's like praise or worship or...
Exactly. In this case, probably in the religious sense, yeah? Otherwise, when you're given a prize and then a colleague might give a Laudatio, so he praises your work and your contribution and so on. But here, yes, I did know Bernhard KROL. He was on the jury when I was doing a competition, and he was indeed a religious man and wrote a lot of music for our instrument, for horn ensemble, other pieces. I had to play this piece called Figaro Metamorphosen, which goes up to a high F. A little difficult at the end of the piece, but anyway. So, what's the story? You don't have to share the details of your story, but it's good to think in images and use your fantasy. How would you describe, imagine that you are teaching me the piece. How would you describe the beginning? What should I go for?
I think of the whole piece like because it does feel very religious overall.
Yes.
A lot of a religious feeling. And I think the stop section, is like a Gregorian chant or something like
Yes,
that.
yes.
But the whole thing, while it does feel religious, it feels very somber, very solemn, almost like a funeral.
Yes.
Memorializing the loss of a loved one. I think a lot of the minor second, I think a lot of that is like a sighing or something like that.
That's right. Okay, let me try the beginning. And calling people's attention also, maybe. So. So when you're performing on your own, we need to pay attention to not only the sounds, but also the rest in between. And sometimes they're indicated like this fermata after the first measure. So let's be aware of the length and where the fermata lies on the last note and just make it more meaningful. In this piece that we're performing at the last concert, the Messiaen solo, there the silence is very important because it's like, calling and expecting an answer and nothing comes. So you have to fill out that space and create the suspense and the tension, yeah? So a little bit of that maybe also here.
Okay. You ready for the beginning?
Yes, please. Yes. You have something to share with us. If I may, try to imagine that the piano also has a text, yeah? Like the Te Laudamus here. Also the piano parts. So I'll play close to you deliberately here. Stay there. So if I walk away from you and play at a certain distance, it won't sound too, too over-accented, but I think in a whole we have to do that for clarity and also it'll be easier, yeah?
Gotcha.
Yeah. Let's just do the beginning one more time, please. And now speak. That's right. And then reiterating something. Enjoy the sound, be generous. And then important. Very good, very good. Again, talking about articulation, here on the way up, I think we can be a little bit more brave and really hit the notes on the way up. So not pushing them, not bulging, yeah? Let's start right there. Ta, 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 ti. In other words, at the beginning is the loudest point. Okay. So, yeah. There are wonderful words in different languages, in French, gonfler, and whatever, inflar, and sort of inflate the notes. So that's a big, my teacher was always very strict with that. So I guess I inherited that from him, okay? I still hear a little bit of, rather than, the contrary. Hit the note directly.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. So the attacks are great, and now just let's make sure that it's sostenuto.
Okay.
Good. Good, and so on and so forth. Good. Now we have this grave, like the beginning of our Beethoven quintet that we played yesterday, also marked grave, heavy, yeah? Again, imagine that there are two players, one playing here and one a mile away, and they answer each other, so very big and direct. And so on. And when there's somebody answering there, they are also playing forte, but far away. Yeah, so that the character doesn't really change. Can we do the pianissimo one first?
Yeah.
Yes. More air and more tongue.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And now for the first one, for the fortissimo, let's try to also use our bodies. So make yourself big.
Okay.
Yeah. The torso, open up, arms, no tensions there, and that has a good effect on sound quality usually. So. Yeah. Open up. Yes, yeah. So that our body and our instrument are one unit, yeah, and that you feel how much resistance there is in the instrument, and then you don't fight it. You just find the perfect balance. Okay. This is a nice big horn with a big bell. You can make a big sound. Probably needs a lot of air. Yeah. Let's do an experiment. Let's swap horns.
Oh my goodness. All right.
There we go. This is F, B flat. If you press, it's B flat, okay? Gotcha. See how you feel on a, on a British.
Play that passage?
Yes, for example. Yes, and stay louder towards the end.
Okay.
I'll take care of the water.
Same thing again?
Yes, please. And up, yeah. Okay, how's your impression now?
This horn is nice. That's the sound is really open. That's
I mean, what I'm getting at is not selling you one of these. The idea is that you find your voice and independent, whether you play Stradivari or Guarneri or whatever, it always is your voice. I can't find the water here. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that.
Good.
Is it? Oh, there it is.
There
Okay,
it is.
okay. Let's swap this, and now try to do the same. Maybe it sounds a little bit lighter, this one. Okay. So more of a tenor voice rather than, what's your natural voice, tenor or baritone?
Baritonish.
Baritonish, okay. So make it sound more tenor, like Heldent tenor. And the echo. And so on. Good, 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 very good. So we're looking for that freedom and effortless playing there. Now, in this passage, I'm not absolutely sure, but I think gedämpft and gestopft in German can be a difference.
Okay.
Gedämpft, sometimes, it actually also means using the sordino, but in this case, let's maybe try and play it just as an experiment, half-stopped.
Okay.
So let's think of the half note above and try to find if we can play that in tune. So rather than, this will be fully stopped, but maybe, so half stopped and positions half a step higher. Let's see if that works.
So kind of like that in the bell? Like...
Yes, maybe not going so deep in the bell, but across the bell. Yes, yeah. Let's see. Let's play it open first. Yes. And then you'll have to be here helping yourself with the embouchure because it can easily be out of tune. Like a prayer, yeah. Yes, yeah. So that it's not a huge difference in color, and then when you do open that it happens maybe unnoticed, you know? So. Something like that, yeah? So it's a little more distance, as if you're murmuring, and then you open up more. Yeah? I would use maybe less air.
Okay.
Less air. Now open. Good. Okay. At the ending, I noticed that you were aiming for a gradual diminuendo, and I wonder whether you would maybe consider something like this. Here, thinking more in terraces, like this, yeah? So not going too far away on the second note. And then you can really enjoy going into nothing, yeah? Let's try it, but stay louder for longer.
Insert the B flat?
Yeah, you can start either here or here, wherever is good for you. Still in there. Excellent. Very good, very good. That's very nice. Now there's this leap here of an octave here early on. I was wondering whether we can prepare it by making a crescendo and therefore making it a little easier for ourselves. Let's sing that. Exactly, that connection. You even sang it in legato, which we won't do now, but I think having a healthy lower octave, that will help. Let's try and play that. That's right. So having a clear concept and idea always helps having a plan, yeah? And then maybe more suspense here or something maybe more exciting. Let's sing it first. And you can finger it while you're singing. That's right. Beautiful voice you have. Did you study some singing?
Yeah, I've done.
Oh, there you go. Wonderful. That's a wonderful thing for horn players. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's use more air through the 16th note. Or stay on the B flat horn.
I just saw you do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna try to do that,
Let's do
yeah.
it slowly. P ba da da da.
I like that.
That's right. Okay, so maybe you can get when you practice that you get. I know that from G on probably you are used to using F horn, so I make my students in Europe use more F horn, and here vice versa, so that we discover. But when you have so many colors and possibilities for different reasons, for character, for intonation, and so we can use the double horn. Otherwise, might as well play a single horn. Okay, so that would have been something, but that needs a little bit of practice, so we won't insist that. What else? Maybe similar situation here in the Allegro on the second page. Yabadam, yabadam. Also stressing the first note a little bit, making it very clear. Yeah? Thank you. Let's take a little bit more time. So clarity, yeah? Yes? Yeah. Very good, very good. But the length of the pauses stays the same. Yabada, yabada, yabada. Very rhythmic, yeah? Okay, let's practice this passage a little bit slower, and if I may suggest, maybe doing it a little bit longer in the beginning and then getting shorter on our way up.
Okay.
Not too quick. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just the 3 pickups before it.
Yes, please. Yeah, so we start, imagine that we are string players and we are using more bow at the beginning and then getting shorter. Yeah, and again slowly. yeah. In other words, I did a lot of chamber music with woodwind players, and they would encourage me to articulate more. We horn players love it when it's nice and soft and mellow and beautiful soft attacks, but there are situations where we need to speak more, and that would be one of, so maybe as you continue working on that. And then finally, also when performing solo pieces, you did a good thing with you tilted your thing, but otherwise maybe you could consider also either playing by memory or just having it like cellist, even lower, so that there's nothing between your audience and you, and they have a feeling that you're really opening yourself for them, like singers do. Yeah, yeah. So let's just try that. Please come here. You can use my part if you need to. And also, acoustically speaking, you know, we have our bell here. You notice that it's a nice acoustic here. We can profit also from turning away and having a more indirect sound. Or you can just turn it a little bit and have a more direct sound. And otherwise, I would just maybe recommend having the bell parallel to the wall there, so we have a little bit of reflection, but also a little bit of articulation. That can be a good thing. So you can play with the angle a little bit. Let's hear you play the beginning one more time and try to enjoy the space. Very good, very good. And you know the piece so well. And this is can I just spontaneously ask you for your reaction? What was the difference between this one and the beginning?
Much more present.
Much more present, yes.
And he has a much greater palette now for color.
Yes, yeah. It seems much more convincing also. It's your message, it's your music. So I think as brass player we hesitate to play by memory, but it's good to push yourself to do it, like I suggested to Henry as well, learning the piece, and then you can still have the part here and do it. One last comment here about staying, maybe, you know, there's some energy building up, and then there is a rallentando written, but I think later, yeah. So that we could do maybe later and keep going for a while. If you go... We'll try that. So it's actually easier to go there all the way. Let's start here where right before the accelerando. Very good, I like that. And also beep, up, also hit the note and run. Now, the shape of the note, not bulging, not getting bigger. Yeah. Okay. Sorry to remind you of
you're
that,
good,
but
you're good.
it's easier to hear it when you're on the outside. Sometimes I do it myself and I'm not aware of it. You hear a recording and it's oh my goodness, what happened
Exactly,
there? It's usually happens when we're a little nervous and hesitant to hit the note. Good. Do you have any other questions about the piece, or anything else, playing wise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel so awkward in that last like couple lines there, and just
Yes.
like, the way it, like with like the grace notes and like are they too short, too long, and
Okay.
it just feels a little. It doesn't ever feel like it natural.
So you're an English native speaker. I'm not. Adagio solenne, solemn. How would you describe solemn for me?
Oh, I don't even know how to define that.
Well, we can look for help with our friends here. Solemn. Find a synonymous word for me. How would you describe solemn?
You said solemn?
Solemn, yes.
First word is melancholy.
Yeah.
Or like gray.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay, yeah. Sometimes the music is interesting also if we don't put too much, where we're trying to, put some ideas and characters and everything. Maybe nothing. Sometimes, senza espressione. If you said that it's, has a religious dimension there, sometimes you're at peace, you know where your place is, and you accept it. And then the rest we played, yeah? But being at peace, not rushing, not having a sense of direction, but just being at peace. Try. And enjoy your own sound. Yes, good. Let's also consider that in this higher range, it's easier to play fuller, louder, so that when the diminuendo happens, let's leave it for later on.
Okay.
Yeah? Try to find the best, the easiest dynamics to play there, and I would play it louder and stay louder. There's always time to go back to the piano, yeah? Good. Amen. Excellent. Very good.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you for your beautiful playing. Thank you. It's been a pleasure listening to you. Thank you. Okay. Good. So we've gone through some interesting repertoire, and we said we'd leave a little bit of time for maybe some questions. So please let me know what you'd like to talk about, or if there are any questions from our young players, from our older players, more experienced. Yes.
I'm Wyatt's teacher.
Oh, I see.
I'm very big on routines and systems.
Yes.
So my question to you, and I hope it's not too loaded, is
No.
do you have some specific routines you do religiously? Are you a routine person? Are you more scale routines? Or do you just kind of feel like, what is your underlying system that you trust and use religiously?
No. I do have my routine. I do stick to it as much as I can. There are situations like now in the summer when you hop from one festival to another where you can't stick to your routine, like you said, religiously, but you try to use your time as best as you can. Then comes a time where you have to go home and do your laundry. And then that laundry would include taking more time. But I also like spending time with my students, maybe the first hour of the day, and we get together and then we do very simple things, no big secrets there, just basics. We do a little bit of buzzing together. We start on harmonics, we go into scales, whether it's diatonic scales, whether it's chromatic scales. Sometimes we use a little bit of flutter tongue to get it going. We practice maybe attacks or breath attacks to get it going. If you feel that your lips are not working well, we work our way through arpeggios, through exercises for lip trills, maybe do some long tones, but at the end of the session. And what I've discovered when we do this together is that there's a certain rhythm and that we are actually more patient in doing so, and my hope is that we are never so tired at the end of this first hour that we can go into practicing whether it's etudes or repertoire or orchestral excerpts, whatever, or chamber music, what we need to do. So not to tire ourselves out, not to be able to do what we need to do on the day. I've also noticed that at some of these schools, the students are so busy that they don't always have time to do that first hour, and that they can hurt themselves. And we've had some injuries, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes I really have to sort of tell them to take it easy. And because we spend this first hour also chatting on commenting on technique and so on, I've discovered for myself, it's selfish, but that to take it easy and not rush through that first phase is a good thing to do.
Can I clarify something on that?
Yes.
Do you do like a group warm-up?
Yes, we do a group work. So I play, they play, or I choose somebody, or we take turns, and then it's like response.
You get almost like every day, Monday through Friday, or just like
No, unfortunately.
to model it, like once a week model or something like that?
Once a week would be great, but depends if I don't have time, unfortunately. But I have noticed that it's healthy somehow. For my own playing, it's an excuse to have time for warm-up, but also for them to get to know the rhythm of how you can do things. Often I experience that they are impatient to cover a lot of ground, and therefore we have to take it. But it's also good to ask questions, to look for solutions together, and I don't pretend that I have all the answers either. So that's become a good thing. And the methods which I used, no original exercises by me, but a compilation from many sources, the things that I was recommended to do when I was studying back home in Zagreb, what used to be Yugoslavia, now Croatia, later on for my studying in Germany, and all the books and methods that I could pick material from, whether it's Philip Farkas, whether it's the Daniel Burg Technicore, whether it's old Arban cornet method, where I find lots of good material there. And I guess every teacher has their own method, so we can learn and exchange these materials. It's refreshing. So the answer to whether I religiously stick to it, no, because sometimes I try to vary it a little bit. But I think a good mix of seeing where is my daily form today, and then doing or adding something, depending. If you're playing a very high piece, you're not going to spend all that much time in the low range, and so on. So bearing in mind what we need to do the rest of the day, but that's an enjoyable time, and I think we can learn probably from singers, because a lot of these exercises are based on singers' exercises, and steal wherever you can, whether it's from other brass players. I've learned things from trombone players, from tuba players, and also from woodwinds, so wherever we can. Jazz players, anyone, yeah. Basically that's it. No secrets, I'm sure we do a similar thing, but it's nice to spend time together, and I do like it when we are together. So I encourage them to come. If they have other obligations, I totally understand, but if they want to hop in and out and not use their mobile phones, that would be great, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Yes, yes, yes.
You're playing the Interstellar Call on Monday.
Yes, I am.
Could you talk about your preparation for that and some like the background that you've researched into it?
Yes. I was very fortunate to have met Messiaen in the 1980s because he was attending rehearsals there when Heinz Holliger was conducting the whole piece. And for me, that was an amazing opportunity to actually play for the master himself. And I, religiously again, because he was a very religious man, I wrote everything down. So the points that I remember most of all is taking more time for the, you're familiar with the piece, I presume, yeah? For all the rests that he insisted that you take more time because the silences are so meaningful. And if you know the two citations from the Bible, from the Psalms and so on, then I think it's even more meaningful. So that's one thing I remember. The other thing that I remember is that the trills should be played immediately, and although he writes that grace note on the top note of the trill, it's not meant to be played but on the beat. Then rhythms, of course, I was there prepared by Heinz Holliger to just really obey and get familiar with Messiaen's language, and getting to know as many of the pieces that he wrote otherwise for orchestra, for piano. The soloist on this particular concert was his wife, Yvonne Loriot, and she played that with, you know, with such ease, facility, and understanding that that was inspiring, whether it was rhythm or harmony or something. So that in alone was a wonderful experience, yeah. What else would I remember about it? He was a very quiet man. He would sit there. He was over a certain age in the 1980s. He, I think, continued working on his opera, San Francisco of Assisi, and so on, which was later on premiered and so on. But he was a very quiet man. He, on his business card, it was written composer and ornithologist also. So he was very, very proud of that and took it very, very seriously. It wasn't a hobby or anything. He was really into it. And you know the story of how inspired he was when he got the commission to write this piece in the 1970s. He visited the canyons and was struck by the natural beauty, so that I'm sure you know more about that. It's interesting to know that I heard from Daniel Burg that the piece was actually conceived earlier. So it was a solo piece that was written in memory of a young composer colleague that died rather young, and it was a kind of a tombeau, an homage to this young colleague, and that's how the piece started. And then I think it was integrated into the large piece. So, but these also, to be perfectly honest, I did ask him if it's okay to play the piece on its own, and he said no. Because he wanted it as a part of the whole piece, which is 100 minutes or so. But it's too good a piece, and my excuse would be, with all due respect, that it was composed as a solo piece, and then maybe we're taking it out of context. I hope he forgives us, but it's such a great piece, and so spiritual and so meaningful. Sometimes spontaneous when you're traveling. I've been to places like, I don't know, Norway, and you're traveling, you take your horn out and you blow. Or in Israel, you have these dry water beds, the wadis, and then we were there above the Dead Sea, and you take your horn and you hear the echo, you play into the canyon, and there, so.
You're going to be in IHS next week, right?
I'm sorry?
You're going to IHS?
Yes, I am, yes.
You're relatively close to Bryce Canyon, those canyons that he was
I would
inspired.
have time. I would love to stay. I would love to stay. That's close to Bryce Canyon. I know the pictures, but as a child, I lived in the States where I actually started playing this in Madison, Wisconsin. And one of the summers we did travel west, so I have been to Grand Canyon and so on, but it would be fantastic to go. When I'm retired, when I have more time to travel. Thank you, thank you. Yes, I'm sorry, you had a question.
Yesterday in the basement of the there, we were really blown away by your articulation and the clarity. Is there any like specific exercises you used to work on, like that clear, like crisp articulation?
I think, you know, because I started playing in the orchestra rather young, I was age 20, and I was very lucky to play with excellent musicians, both in the orchestra and chamber music-wise. That's why I mentioned that I learned a lot from woodwind players, because they were the ones who insist on da-da. And we are a little bit reluctant. I don't do any special exercises for that, but I do try to have that. Also mentioning Hermann Baumann. Now, I remember I played second horn when we were playing the Mozart Serenade, you know, and he would be sitting here, and I couldn't believe how clear the articulation, that was this solo. So really hammering these notes out, and I thought, wow, is that really the way to do it? And I was exactly in your position. I was so surprised. So I learned part of it by playing with woodwind colleagues, and the other was just with good players who would do that, and remembering that it sounds different when you're at a certain distance there. I think Dale Clevenger also made this program for his orchestral, what's it called, conservatoire. He recorded some solos in the Chicago Symphony Hall with a microphone behind his bell, and then from the hall itself, and it sounded very different. And his intention was just to explain how, you know, how clearly we have to articulate. But it also depends a little bit on the school. Some are, you know, have a more veiled sounds, more hand in the bell, and that's a matter of preference. So you always look and maybe according to repertoire find the best. Yeah. Good. Yes.
Advice for an aspiring horn player?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Were you very young when you started playing the horn? Oh, good. Well, first try and enjoy it, be patient, and maybe if you can find company of other young players, whether they're horn players, brass players, to do a little bit of chamber music, even if you're limited in what you can do on the instrument, but find the joy. I think that is very important. I was very lucky when I was age 6 to start my lessons in Wisconsin. Edward Brown, who was studying with John Barrows, was my first teacher, and he was very good with children. So I had a mellophone, I think, at that time, playing it on this side, and we would play very, very simple tunes, but get together every Saturday. And then when I went back to Yugoslavia, then I continued my lessons. So it was fun. Out of this hobby came the vocation to become my thing. But even if you don't become a horn player professionally, the joy and the connection to music, I think, is most important. So try to enjoy it as much, be curious, find out, and let it enrich in your life. That's how I would put it, yeah? Okay, thank you. Yes?
What's your favorite
Orchestral, ooh, there are too many to choose from. There are too many. I played in the orchestra for about 8.5 years in what was then West Berlin. It was an interesting and exciting time in the 1980s. We were still living in Berlin when the Berlin Wall came crashing down. I wasn't in Berlin then myself, but my family was. I was listening to a concert in Tübingen where Baumann was playing the Concertstück, and I went to Paris after that. And the French weren't so delighted that Germany is reunifying. And when it happened in '91, then I was in Norway. So, but there was this fantastic feeling. But come back to your question. I learned a lot through my time in an orchestra, and because we weren't the biggest and the only orchestra, because there are so many orchestras in West Berlin, including the Berlin Philharmonic and the Symphony, the 2 opera houses, or 3 now, and so on. So we covered a lot of Mahler symphonies, which I discovered I enjoyed very much. I don't know why it's close, maybe just a matter of preference musically, and he writes so beautifully, whether it's to do with the Viennese horn. I respect it, I don't play it myself, but I do live in Austria now and teach in Salzburg, so the Vienna horn is present there in the repertoire that we play. I don't know, things like Heldenleben were challenging. I got to play that later on when I worked a little bit from time to time in London at the London Symphony Orchestra. So that is an exciting moment to start it off and to finish it with this long solo. There are other beautiful little solos like the Ravel Pavan, which also sets the mood of the piece, this melancholic and sad piece, but so beautiful in its sadness. There are too many to mention, and the excitement of a Brahms symphony when you play the Alphorn solo at the end of the first symphony and so on. So these are grand moments where you feel so connected with the music, and you just become a medium for the music. You don't get in the way. The music just passes through you and you enjoy it, and you're part of it, but without interfering with it. Yeah, something like that, yeah. Too many, yes.
You obviously travel a lot with your horn.
Yes.
And your horn is not a cut bell. Does it fit in the overhead now? I mean, it didn't used to.
Yes, in the Airbuses it does, in the Boeings it doesn't. So you have to be a little bit, clever about it. You find the oldest flight attendant, and you ask for help, and usually they're quite nice. So, except for once on Ryanair in Europe, where I had to check it in, and I was dying because it's very fragile, as we know. But I don't know. I do prefer playing the fixed bell because I think it's a little lighter. I've learned it that way, and I haven't changed. I have played on cut-off bells, but I prefer this one. But it was, at one time, it was so full of patches that I had to change the bell, so this is not the original bell. Yes, yeah. Okay. Well, we can maybe wrap things up. Thank you very much for your time, for your interest, and all the best, and continue enjoying our beautiful instrument and music, and thank you for being here. Thank you. Mm-hmm.